Hello, everybody. Sebastian, showmethat.com coming at you. I have a very special moment here. Good friend for many years. He started out as a bass player. Then one day he decided he wanted to make his own basses. Well, we're going to get into that story, but I want him to introduce himself to you and show you some of his products. But this guy has come a long way in a short amount of time.
Hey everybody, my name is Justin Goodman, clef Basses. I'm based in Long Island, New York. I've been doing this for a little over 6 years. And it's been an interesting thing for me, man. I started out just dreaming about finding the sound that I could identify with myself and find a way to be unique in what I'm playing. And ultimately, it just drove me down the rabbit hole of wanting to build my own basses. And I prayed about it. I meditated. Researched. I meditated. I prayed. All of that good stuff until I did it. And now I'm here, and I'm grateful.
All right, you got to tell us this process because going from playing the bass to actually making basses, and I asked you because I was curious. I said, are you just taking prefab parts and putting them together? You said, no, I'm making the bases. So
Yeah.
I'm blown away. So I really want to know this journey. How did you get to where you're at right now?
Well, how far back you want me to start? Like starting from playing or starting from?
Just tell us the story. We got time.
All right.
We got time.
So I was let's start from the very beginning. 12 years old, I used to spend my summers with my oldest brother in North Carolina who plays guitar and bass. He decided one day that he was going to teach me how to play bass, and he gave up on me on the first night. Honestly, he said, "You're never going to get this." And I'm like, "Come on." I begged him. I begged him. And when it was time for me to come back home to New York, he gave me this old pawn shop lead guitar. Now, lead guitar, first four strings on the lead guitar is the same tuning as a four-string bass. And I remembered how to tune it. So I brought it home, and um, basically, anytime I had some free time over the next few years, I would sit down with the hip hop station, Hot 97 at the time, and I would try to play with whatever came on the radio. Before I knew it, I'm able to keep up with what was being played. So fast forward till I'm about 18 years old in church convention in Pittsburgh. I'm one of the drummers at the time. And there was a brother from Alabama who came and he played guitar and bass. He brought both with him, and every time he would go over to his guitar in rehearsal, I would sneak over to his bass and pick it up, start fiddling, trying to figure out the songs. So by the end of the week, myself, another drummer by the name of Dennis Gardner out of Pittsburgh, and my good friend Myron Williams out of Myron Brown out of Alabama. He was a pianist. They said, "Yo, let's get together and see if they'll let us play for the banquet." I went and asked the elder. He said, "Sure." We brought the instruments in. I set up and I literally played my first gig for the whole banquet. When the banquet was over, my Bishop Linwood Bush, he pulled me to the side. He says, "Hey, son, I didn't know you knew how to play the bass." I said, "I don't." He goes, "Well, you're going to be playing it now." So when we got home, when we got home, he pulled me in the office after service. He says, "Listen, when I want you to go to the store, pick out the bass that you want, and whatever you pick out, I'm going to give you half." And he kept his word. So around the same time, um, my brother became the director of the Long Island University Gospel Choir. And he told me, "You're getting your bass, you're going to be my bass player." And I'm like, "All right." So I get my bass. My god brother Keith, he go to Sam Mash to pick up my bass on a Sunday. Brought it to me. Monday, I had rehearsal with my brother Gary, who's here filming also, and Michael Gale. I had rehearsal Monday. I had rehearsal Tuesday before Bible study. I had rehearsal Wednesday before choir rehearsal. I had rehearsal Thursday, and we left rehearsal and went to LIU and played the concert. So it just kept snowballing from there. Next thing you know, I'm playing. So you playing, and then you get to the point where you're listening to records and you hear a sound on a record, and you're wondering why your bass doesn't sound like that. So I went down the rabbit hole of trying to figure out why that bass, namely Reggie Young. Reggie Young on one of James Hall's albums. I'm like, why does my bass not sound like his bass? I didn't understand it was also the fingers and all of that. But he had just had a different bass from me,
Yeah.
right? I went to Sam Ash on 48th Street in Manhattan. I said, hey, can you make my bass sound like this?
Oh
He
my
goes, well,
God.
I can't make it sound like this, but I can make it sound better. So I got him to put a Bartolini preamp in there that was a Yamaha 5-string at the time. And it did make it sound better, but that just whet my appetite. Like, I'm okay, now I know I can change the sound on this. Now I want to do some other stuff. So I started buying other basses just so I could tinker with them and change the setups. I figured out how to do my own setups. Fast forward to 2008, I'm on a gig with my good friend Justin Cunningham for New York State GMWA. And he's playing, at the time, I'm playing a 6-string Patitucci. He's playing a 6-string Tobias. He said, yo, your bass sounds amazing. Let me see it. So I give him his bass, give him my bass. I said, let me see your bass. I pick up his bass. He goes, yo, your bass is amazing. I said, dude, how are you even getting notes out of this? So I said, let me take your bass home and I'll work on it. I'll bring it back to rehearsal tomorrow. I took it home. I did a full setup on it, fret job, everything. I brought it back. He started playing. He was like, yo, I'm never taking my bass to anybody else. And he's been my #1 client since.
Wow, Justin Cunningham.
Justin Cunningham, shout out
Wow.
to him. And from there, it was just person after person. He referred me to somebody else, somebody else, somebody else. The next thing I know, I'm having people challenging me to do things that wasn't in my wheelhouse. I don't have a woodworking background.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about woodworking. And I had people that would bring necks that was broken. Can you fix this neck? And I'm like, okay, I'll try. You know, can you put different shape pickups in my bass? I'm like, I'll try. You know, I had to figure it out. But they were trusting me enough with their stuff to let me do it. So you do that so much. And then I used to hang out in Rudy's Guitar Stop in 48th Street, and I played every bass from the $500 bass to the $15,000 bass. And you start to, your palette starts to change. The things that you like, you can't find in some of the cheaper basses, and you can't find one bass that has everything that you like. So that was like kind of the start of the desire to want to build my own bass. So I had that desire. I prayed about it. I kept talking about it until one year my wife says, hey, let's throw some money at this. So we took part of our tax return that year and probably bought about $3,000 worth of tools, band saws, table saws, all this other kind of stuff. So I put it in my garage, and now I'm looking at this stuff like, how do I use this and keep my fingers? Like, I wanted to make sure I kept my fingers. So I had to slowly kind of train myself. Okay, let me do this, let me do that. So then I hadn't started building a bass yet. So my wife was like, listen, we got to do something. Like, we bought the tools. Let's figure it out. So one
And
year,
you got a good wife, Doc.
I have the
You
best
better
wife
hold
in the
on to
world.
her.
And I'm gonna give her a major shout out. I'm gonna say her name now, Colette, in case the memory falls or whatever. But that's my wife. I love her. She challenges me. So that year, I found a wood supplier down in South Jersey who supplied for all of the major companies, for Yamaha, Ernie Ball, all these other companies. And we took a trip down there for my birthday, and I spent probably about $800 on wood. And it was all high-end stuff that I envisioned for myself to build my own bass. I brought it home, too scared to touch it. It sat for about 2 months. So she was like, all right, now listen, are you going to do it or you not? I said, all right. So I started working with it, got scared again. I'm like, okay, I don't want to mess this up. This is a lot of money. Maybe a month later than that, I said, you know what? Maybe I should go to Home Depot and buy some wood there. If I buy a Home Depot wood and I mess that up, that's only a few dollars. It's not that bad, right? So I went to Home Depot and I spent about $80 on wood. No lie. I bought poplar, I bought pine, I bought maple, cherry. Yeah, that's it. Poplar, pine, maple, cherry. And I built my first 6-string bass. And that one was called Adam.
Oh.
And it's a monster still to this day. I still have it, still play it from time to time. It's amazing. So after that, I said,
Home
okay,
Depot, Adam.
exactly. So I went from there to say, you know what? Let me go back to that first bass, and I'll finish that one. So I took that one and made it in the shaping of Adam, but it had better curves. and that one's called Eve, right?
Mm.
So I said, all right, I got Eve down. I know what I'm doing. So now I moved on. So let's design something else. So I modified that shape, made it a little bit smaller, changed a couple things here and there, and I created my third base, and that one is called Cable. You think about the lineage, Adam, Eve, Cable, you can figure out where the name Cable came from, right?
Uh-huh.
So I did a few of those, and it's been snowballing from there. And after I'd done a few of those, and I had people like, "Oh, you should make a jazz bass. You should make a jazz bass." And I said to myself, "I'm not gonna make a jazz bass because everybody else makes a jazz bass, but I'll make my own interpretation of a jazz bass." And
Mm-hmm.
that's when I created the Jubal model. Jubal is named after the first string musician in the Bible,
Oh.
and it's like my classic take on what a jazz bass would be if with my own spin on it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been it's been a whirlwind. It's been crazy, man. Like here I am a little over 6 years, and I have 4 artist partners, guys that are touring, guys that are recording. um, my stuff as recent as last Friday was on a session. I have 3 of my basses, these 2 basses that are here with me, as well as my good buddy K Bass, Kenny K Bass Diggs. He has his bass, been playing on stages all week. This has been an amazing journey, and I'm here now. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful. God is faithful. God is faithful.
Well, tell us some of your other artists aside from K-Bass.
So all right. So Kenny K Bass Diggs was the first um artist partner. I use the word term artist partner because I'm a one-man show, right? I don't have necessarily the overhead that I can say, oh, I'm just gonna give a bass away. But it just so happened that this guy, he met me, he liked my basses, and he liked what I was doing so much that he decided, hey, I want to buy your bass, but I want to work with you to push your brand. So he was the first. Right after that, the same weekend, I met Thurman Peanut Woods out of North Carolina, and he did the same thing. He signed on to be an artist partner. Um, let's see, late December of 2023, I got a call from a guy named Brandon McCrae out of Atlanta, who is a phenomenal musician on every instrument. This guy, he gigs and records and everything. He does everything. He says, "Hey, I want to get a custom bass." All right, cool. Me and him clicked it off so much. During the process of building his bass, I was able to deliver it to him for his birthday in March. We had a great day hanging out. He's become one of my artist partners, and it's just been a God union, we'll say. And then my last artist partner as of today is my first official customer, Justin Cunningham. He signed on to be my artist partner finally, and he's been playing my stuff. And he actually just did his session, his first session with his bass, his live session on this past Friday. So it's I'm grateful, man. I'm grateful.
Wow, that is amazing. Okay, what is it that makes your basses different? Because you have those standards that people ring out: Sadowski, Smith,
Hmm.
Pensa, what's the one Reggie plays?
That's Pensa.
No,
Oh,
Reggie,
Federa.
Federa.
Yeah, yeah.
So you have these certain companies. So I'm sure to a certain extent there was a certain level of intimidation there because you're like, oh, these guys been doing this forever. But God gave you this thing and you saw it through, man. And I gotta say, man, I applaud you, man. Because when you first told me you were gonna start making bases, I was scratching my head. I was like, really? This guy
Yeah.
is going to make his own bases.
Right.
So I was like, okay.
Yep.
But hey, it's an amazing thing that you've done here.
Thank you.
Amazing thing. So I'm assuming every base that you make is unique. You don't make two bases the same.
I do not make 2 bases that are exactly the same. Part of the point of what I'm doing is to allow for musicians to have an individuality. So one of my biggest hangups my entire time playing, which is almost 30 years now, has been showing up to a gig or concert or musical,
The guy next to you got the
the
same
guy,
thing.
3 guys next to me has the same exact bass. And it's like, come on, man. Like, y'all, we all went to the same store on the same day. Like, you know what I'm saying? So that to me, that got monotonous. So even when with my Patitucci 6 that I played for 18 years, that bass is the only Patitucci that I've ever seen that's natural color. Every other Patitucci I've ever seen is either red or orange or gray or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So even when I would take that bass out, it was like, yo, what is that? You know, and it's not so much of somebody wanting to ask me what it is, but it's just the fact of I'm different, right? I have my own tone, I have my own sound, my own look, everything. So
Now,
that's really a major part of why I'm doing what I'm doing, is to allow for guys to have their own look, but not only that, be able to develop their own sound, their signature sound. Because if you go to a concert and you have 4 different bass players and they're all playing the same bass, aside from the minor technique that they might have, you don't know who's playing if you close your eyes.
yeah.
So having those minor tonal changes and characteristics that's unique to one player is important to me, and I want every player to be able to have that. So
Now, one thing I must say, bro, you outdid yourself. That bass that K bass is playing
yeah,
with all them color, I'm like, my goodness, yo, that thing looks so hot.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sure he probably got a lot of people ask him about
tons, tons,
it's like
absolutely.
that bass, and you did all the painting and you did all of that.
So no, I'm not going to take credit for the colors on that, right?
Okay.
There's a resin artist that I linked with on Instagram. He's amazing. This guy can do anything.
Wow.
He saw my work and reached out to me
Wow.
and said, hey, I like your stuff. Let's link. So we talked, and sure enough, I was able to get a top from him, and we collaborated on that build. So we're going to be doing some stuff in the future,
Yeah.
and it's an amazing thing. But
Yeah, that's a
that
unique
bass is
bass.
special. That bass
Yeah,
is really
that's
special.
the unique. When I saw that, when he pulled that thing out, I was like, bro,
Yeah,
this bass is sick.
right, right. It's a special bass, man. So let me tell the story really quick about how even K-Bass got that bass.
Okay.
So K-Bass had already had a Jew ball from me, a Jew ball
Mhm.
model, Honey Burst, and he had been already playing it for around a year or so. He had taken it on the first Kirk Franklin tour with him. At this point, he's playing it for Gerald Albright on tour.
That was the
And
one he brought to Doobie Shed about
yes,
a year or
yes,
two ago.
that wasn't long after he got it from me.
Uh-huh.
So he's getting ready to prepare for the second Kirk Franklin tour, and I was supposed to meet him in Pennsylvania for the rehearsals to do some work on it, soup it up. Something happened after he got home from the tour that he couldn't get any sound out of it. So I'm like, oh man, like I'm about to go on vacation with my family. I was supposed to be meeting him after I came back from vacation. Like, what are we going to do? I said, listen, we'll try to figure it out. I hung up from him. My wife says, why don't you just go to Atlanta?
There you
Like,
go. That wife, Doc, she a
telling you,
keeper, Doc. She
she is the MVP. She's the MVP. So I ended up flying to Atlanta one day, and he picked me up from the airport. We went straight to his house. I set up on the kitchen island, and I swapped the guts out. I pulled the guts out, put a new preamp in there. But I brought that bass, that the colorful one that he calls Pebbles.
he calls it Pebble?
He calls it Pebbles. Like Fruity Pebbles, like the cereal, you know what I'm
saying? It clicks.
Exactly. So I brought it with me as a backup, just in case something happened.
Mm-hmm.
So I souped up that first bass, and we tested it on his son's amp, and he was like, yeah, this is perfect. This is perfect. I said, all right. So when you saw that other bass, it wasn't done. I want you to just try it out, see what you think. So, all right, takes it out of the bag, plugs it up. He plays 2 notes, and he goes, no, we got to go upstairs to the big rig. I said, okay. Go up to his studio on the second floor. He plugs it up, and he just starts blazing on this thing. He goes, all right, what's my price? And the rest is history. He took that one on the Kirk Franklin tour.
Wow.
And it had, I'll say it had equal or more time.
Wow.
I was grateful I was able to see him in two different cities. I got to see the first show in Philly, and then I got to see them when they came to Brooklyn, and I was blown away. Just to hear my own instrument
Yeah,
at
yeah, yeah.
that kind of a
Work of your
venue,
hands. Yeah.
like it's special, man. So needless to say, I'm kind of living vicariously through him. You know,
Like I may have never gotten to that level, but my
my
handiwork did.
handiwork there. Exactly. Exactly.
Wow,
Yeah,
man.
man.
That's an amazing story, bro. I'm sure when I post this has got to inspire somebody, man.
I
It's
hope
like
so. I hope so.
it's an amazing story. I mean,
When I tell you that I would have never imagined in my own power that I would be here in 6 years or so. God is faithful, man. That's all I can say.
amen,
God is faithful, and my wife and I,
amen.
we joke a little bit, and some people may not take this to how we feel it, but the Lord is a wild boy. You know what I'm saying? Not everybody can accept that
His
how we give it, but
his
the Lord is the
his
Lord,
sense of humor is amazing.
right? So I said another joke, and this may be too far. God forgive me if it is. Y'all forgive me if it is. But it's like sometimes the Lord, you pray to the Lord, Lord, can you do this for me? Can you do this for me? And then you doubt, right? And the Lord goes, hold my beer. Like, okay, so the Lord don't drink beer, but I'm just saying,
Yeah.
listen, the Lord be Lording,
He be lording over everything.
and He's going to do what He wants to do in His time, and we can't pray about stuff and not actually prepare for what we're asking Him to do. So it took time. It took me to really sit down. There was times I'm sitting at dinner with my family and I'm zoning out because I'm envisioning in my head what I wanted to do with my hands before I actually did it.
Wow.
And initially my wife was like, "You all right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And then after a while she look at me and go, "He all right." And the proof is in the pudding, man. I'm here. I'm here.
My God. My God. So now what are these two bases that you have here with you?
So let me introduce this one first, okay?
Hmm.
So this is one of the cable model bases that I have. If anyone's ever seen the Adam that I have or the Eve, which now belongs to one of my mentors, Grant Hall owns Eve,
Oh,
which
oh,
is
okay.
amazing.
That's James Hall's brother, right?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. So this is one of my cable model bases. It's a single cut. This particular one has maple burl top, a cedar body, all magnetic cavity covers, and cocobolo neck, bird's eye maple fretboard. And as far as electronics, this is Bartolini pickups, Bartolini preamp. Now, as far as the features in my basses, every feature that I have in my bass, I have there for a reason, whether it be for my own experience or experience that I have teching for people or actually doing repairs and customs for other people. My aim was to solve problems that I always saw. So just to give one example, I use magnetic cavity covers because I've had the situation where I was on stage with
And
an active bass
you didn't have
and the
anything
battery died and
unscrewed.
I didn't have a screw. Or I've
Absolutely.
done repairs and they hand me a bass and it's only got one screw on the cavity cover. Like
Exactly.
that's
So it's kind of flimsy.
all my basses have magnetic cavity covers. I will never deal with a screw in that area.
Oh
And
my
and
God.
like I said, I have a number of different features on my basses that have those features for purposes. So
Hmm.
that's the cable model. Now, this one here is special to me because this is my fifth anniversary bass. And I call this one the heirloom. This one is a one of one. I'll never build this shape again.
Hmm.
And I call it the heirloom because whoever ends up with it will be a collector's item. And it should be in your family forever. So just to describe this bass, this is an Amboina burl top, curly redwood core, kingwood back. This is old growth mahogany neck, one piece. It's got carbon fiber rods in it. And this is Camatillo rosewood. It's all gold hardware accents. Bartolini pickups, Aguilar preamp.
Oh, oh, so you don't always do Bartolini and Bartolini. So that one you did the Bartolini
Right,
pickups with the Aguilar preamp.
right. I've done a number of basses with Aguilar preamp, but I only use Bartolini pickups. They're my favorite pickups.
Your favorite pickups.
Hands down, I have no problems. And to this point right now, they're my favorite company to deal with.
Yeah,
These guys are amazing.
Bartolini.
I've never had a problem out of them. They've got me out of binds repeatedly.
Wow.
So Bartolini for sure.
Now, what is the big difference for us bass novices? Like, say, an Aguilar preamp versus a Bartolini preamp. Is it like a taste, a tone? What is it?
There is a tone, somewhat of a tone to it, but the biggest difference is this. So Aguilar preamps don't have a gain control on them, right?
Mhm.
Gain control means if you open up the Bartolini preamp, I can do that right now anyway. Bartolini preamp has a gain control on it, which will allow you to control the amount of level that you have coming out of the bass, out of the preamp, right?
Mhm.
So if you go from passive to active, there's an actual volume bump in the tone, even if you're flat. EQ flat, you cut the preamp on, there's a volume bump, probably about 6 decibels maybe. So that's Bartolini, right? With Aguilar doesn't have that feature. Their preamp, if you have your EQ set flat and you go from active to passive, there's no difference in the sound.
Okay.
So their preamp is only activated if you actually mess with the EQ. So if you boost the bass or the treble or the mids, then you'll hear the difference. Now, what I've done personally, and I've gotten it, I'll say I was inspired by a couple of other builders that have done this, but I've made my own modifications to it. Um, I like to have all of my basses to be active passive, which is another feature
Mhm.
that I encountered. If your battery dies, you want to still be able to use your bass.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you go to passive, you just turn your amp up and you still got the same
Yeah, you
sound.
still got sound.
But I have mine with this is volume, tone. The tone is always in. Treble, bass, mid, push, pull. In is 400 hertz, out is 800 hertz. That's the frequency that you can configure, and the blend control between the two. So I have an active passive switch, and this particular bass has a coil tap. So this pickup here is actually a double J. It's 2 J pickups inside of this soap bar. So if I go up, I get the front side of the J. If I go in the middle, I get the full double J. If I go down, I'm getting the back side of the J. And everywhere the pickup is positioned where the strings are, it changes the tonal quality of it. So the further down towards the bridge you are, you're getting a little more highs, crisp sounds, and things like that. The further up this way towards the neck, you're getting more low ends and deep tones. So I try to design my basses where it does everything, getting
It
all of the
covers a
tones,
wide
because I want them,
gamut.
like I said, I want them to be, in a sense, work of art because they're all one of a kind. But I want it to be functional. Like
Absolutely.
I would prefer if when you decide to pick up your bass, you're picking up my bass,
Yeah.
and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
For whatever gig situation you got, I want you to pick up my bass. That's what I'm going for. So,
Wow. That's amazing, man. So now tell us, where do you see the company? You've come 6 years. Where do you see the company in the next 6 years? What do you see God doing in this journey that you've been taking?
well, that's a funny question because I feel like God gives you vision to have an idea of where you're gonna be, but He'll never give you the actual end point, or He
Yeah.
doesn't give you even the path.
The complete roadmap.
What He gives you is vision to say, okay, I need to prepare for that.
Yeah.
So my preparation is for expansion, is for um, going outside of just bass into guitars eventually, um, having a team where I'm not the only person building, being in a different facility other than my 1 car garage. And if I have a team doing it, then I definitely need to be out of my 1 car garage.
Exactly.
We'll be on top of each other. But wherever God leads me, man, I just want to be there. I want to make sure I'm staying in His will.
Wow.
That's it.
Man, that was an amazing journey, man. You took us on amazing story, man. And I just wish you all the best in this, bro.
I
You
appreciate
know,
it.
me and you, we go back, whew,
I
from
was a kid.
Bronx, Mass.
Yeah, I was a kid hanging around y'all, man.
Yeah, I'm like,
Crazy.
wow, man. So life is interesting. You just never know where life is gonna take you. You just you
Absolutely.
just say, God, I'm gonna listen to you. I don't know where I'm going, but I'm going.
That's it.
Man, that's great. But man, I thank you for your time, bro.
I thank you, man. Like
And
you always been big bro to me, man. I you even telling me, yo, let's do this. I'm like, I'm great. I'm just grateful. Yeah, you don't have
I've
any.
been trying to get you to do this for a while.
Yeah, I know. I know.
You told me your wife said. I'm like,
Yeah.
man, telling you, hold on to that woman. That's a
She
good
ain't
woman
going
you
nowhere.
got.
She ain't going nowhere. And let me get back to her. Colette Goodman is the best wife I could have ever asked for.
Amen.
So I'll tell you, I gotta throw her out there. So we're out here now, and she was telling me before I came, I'm having something sent to the hotel for you. I was like, okay. And being that my wife is a planner, I learned over years when she says she's gonna do something, I'm not even gonna ask no questions. All right, whatever you're gonna do, I'll accept. So yesterday morning, she texted me. She said, "I'm so sorry, babe. They told me that the package is not gonna get there, so I'm having to redirect it to come home." I'm like, all right, no problem. We're leaving here. Me and Gary are leaving here, and I get a text. Oh, it actually made it. It's at the hotel. It's waiting for you at the front desk. Just ask for it. I said, okay. Get to the front desk. They give me this bag. I take it upstairs. It is this. Hold on. I got to adjust the mic. It's this. She had this thing made for me.
Oh, the jacket. Oh man. That's beautiful, bro.
She had it made for me and sent.
Beautiful,
When I
man.
tell you, I pulled this thing out and I just started screaming. Gary was laughing at me. I was like,
She's amazing.
why did she do
She's
this?
amazing.
Yeah, and I called her and I said, babe, is it possible for me to love you and hate you at the same time? It's like, what are you doing? So
God,
she's been my
man. Biggest
biggest support,
fan,
biggest
biggest cheerleader,
opponent,
pushing
biggest
you
everything.
forward.
She's been my
Man,
biggest support, like my teammate, my partner, and yeah,
that's what's
yeah.
up, man.
She can get anything from me. Seriously.
But now, for all the bass players that's watching, give us your information. How can they get in contact with you? What are your different socials?
So
Let us know.
all right. So I'm on Instagram is jclef bases, at jclef bases. I'm on Facebook at jclef bases. Um, you can go to the website jclefbases.com. Um, you could DM me. You can send me an email, info at jclefbases. The best thing to do is probably go to the website. You can do a contact form on the first page, or you can go to the pricing page and actually piece out and get an estimate on a build, whatever you want to have, the wood combinations, electronics, hardware combinations, all of that stuff, and we can make it work, man. I'm eager to work with people. I'm eager to see what their ideas are, and then have my own ideas incorporated and make something special.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, great story. And thank you for your time, my brother.
Thank you, brother. I
Appreciate
appreciate you,
you.
man.
Appreciate the gift that's in you.
Thank you. Thank
All
you.
right.
I
Keep
appreciate it.
going. God bless.